Have you ever thought about what happens when you just disappear from someone's life? I mean, you're not just slightly absent. I mean, you're gone. Don't text, call, or get in touch. In a world where people often think they can take others for granted, how will they really feel when you're gone? Let's change the script. Leave, and I promise their world will fall apart. This video is for you if you've ever been in a relationship or situation where someone treated you like an option. We're going to talk about a powerful idea today, how they really feel when you just disappear from their life. We'll go over 9 intense emotional stages that they will go through when you disappear, and I promise you that by the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away and never look back if you're ready to find out your worth and make them miss you like never before. Just write the words in the space below. I'm done being a choice because you won't be one again after this. Stay tuned until the end, because there's a special 10th emotional stage they'll feel that you don't want to miss. If you want to change the way they see you forever, watch this video all the way to the end. The first sting of rejection was played. It all starts with the sting of rejection. They didn't think you'd leave. You were the one who put in the work, made the plans, and cared. They relied on you until you weren't there. When you leave, it's like a brick hit them in the head. They didn't see it coming. You may have heard the saying, "You don't know what you have until it's gone." That's exactly what happens when you disappear. Let me be clear. When you disappear from their life, it's not just your physical presence. You take away everything that you represented: comfort, validation, and the ability to always be there for them. They feel rejected, but it's not a shallow rejection. It's a deep personal sting, because they realize for the first time that they don't have control over you. People don't like to admit it, but when they know someone will always be there, they start treating you like a safety net, and you become an option instead of a priority. When you disappear, you pull that safety net right out from under them, and that's when the panic starts. It's like free falling. They thought they could depend on you, and now they're thinking how they let this happen. How did I get out of hand? The pain of being turned down hits what went wrong. It's especially hard when you've been emotionally open. They thought you'd always be there for them no matter what. Maybe they even thought they were doing you a favor by keeping you around. That's the real irony. Here's what you need to know. If you want them to feel the pain of rejection, you can't give them any warning. Don't tell them you're leaving. Don't give them an ultimatum. And definitely don't ask for their attention. Just go ghost them. When you disappear without a trace, it hits them harder because they didn't see it coming. It makes them think about their actions and makes it clear that you're done being disrespected. When you walk away, don't look back. They will feel the rejection, and trust me, it will hit them in ways they didn't expect. The person they thought they had control over, the one who always stuck around no matter what, has just left the building. Let them deal with the aftermath number 2, the void of missing you. None of the lost. After the hurt of rejection wears off, they start to feel something else: emptiness. They didn't think they'd miss you. In fact, they probably told themselves, "Oh, if they leave, I'll just move on." But when you actually disappear, they start to feel the void. They go about their day doing the same things they always do. But something is missing. That's when they realize you're gone. You gave them energy, warmth, and emotional stability, and now their life has purpose. Without you. Everything feels bland, you see. When someone takes you for granted, they assume you're just a part of the background. They assume that the dynamic between the two of you is replaceable. But here's the truth. No one else brings what you did to their life. They might try to fill the void with someone else, but it's never the same. You brought a unique energy, one that made their life easier, more enjoyable, more fulfilling. The void grows bigger with every passing day. Maybe they thought they could distract themselves with someone new or with their friends. Maybe they thought they could focus on work or throw themselves into hobbies to get over you. But guess what? That void stays there, reminding them of what they've lost. It's a constant presence eating away at them because they never thought they'd feel this way about you. Here's the irony. They didn't appreciate you when they had you. They thought they could do better, or maybe they thought you'd always be around. But the second you leave, everything changes. They start missing the little things. When you disappear, make sure you do it in a way that makes it impossible for them to find you. Block them on social media, delete their number, and make it impossible for them to randomly check up on you. The more they realize they can't reach you, the bigger the void will become. Let them sit in that emptiness and remember this. People don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. Let them miss you and feel the absence. 3. Overwhelming curiosity. At this point, they're deep in the void and starting to feel desperate. Their overwhelming curiosity takes over, and the big question on their minds is, where are they, what are they doing, and who are they with? They become obsessed with finding out what's going on in your life because they can't reach you anymore. You're a mystery, and nothing is more unsettling than not knowing what's going on with someone who was once so close to you. Because they don't know how old you are on social media, this stage is even more intense. They'll be checking your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and every other platform to see what you're up to. But here's the catch. You're not giving them anything. You haven't posted anything, updated anything, or shared any stories. Nothing. And it drives them crazy because people are afraid of the unknown. As soon as you disappear, their minds start to race with questions. Here's where their fear comes in. They start to wonder if you've moved on, if they're seeing someone else, and if they'd be better off without me. They can't handle not knowing, so they become obsessed with trying to find out. At this point, they might even contact mutual friends to find out more about you. They'll ask you questions, but they'll be too embarrassed to say they care. It's sad to see someone who thought they didn't need you now going out of their way to find out what you're doing. When someone is curious and can't find the answers they're looking for, their mind starts to fill in the blanks. They start to imagine you with someone else, thinking about how happy and satisfied you would be without them, and that thought hurts them. Day by day it turns from curiosity into an obsession, and here's the best part. The less they know, the more they want to know. You become the one thing they can't stop thinking about to fuel their curiosity. You need to become a ghost. Go completely off the grid. Don't post anything that could give them clues about your life. Let them wonder. Let them stew in their own thoughts, trying to figure out what's happening with you every time. Time they pick up their phone to check on you and find nothing. It'll drive them closer to the edge. You hold the power now, and their curiosity is your biggest asset. Don't give them answers. Give them silence. Number 4, deep self-reflection. Now, we're entering the dangerous territory for them. That is, this is where the self-reflection kicks in, and it's not pretty after days or even weeks of wondering where you are and what you're doing. They finally turn inward. They start asking themselves the hard questions. Was I too distant? Was I too cold? Did I push them away? Did I mess this up? The regret starts creeping in, and it's a bitter pill to swallow. Here's the reality. People don't like to admit when they've made mistakes. It's human nature. But when you disappear, you force them to confront those mistakes, head on without you. There to reassure them or smooth things over, they're left to face their own behavior. And it's not a fun experience. They start replaying every interaction in their mind, questioning whether they could have done something differently. They remember the times. They didn't read your texts. The times they ignored your feelings and treated you like an afterthought, and it hurts them because they know they had a good thing going but that they took it for granted. Now they're stuck with their own thoughts, which are painful. This stage is especially strong because it's internal. They can't blame you anymore because you're not there to argue with them or make excuses for them. They can only blame themselves. Self-reflection gets deeper over time, and the more they think about how wrong they were, the more guilt they feel, and the more they wish they could go back in time and change things, but it's too late for that. During this stage, don't reach out or try to explain why you left or make them see the error of their ways. Let them figure it out on their own. Self-reflection is most powerful when it happens internally. The more they think about everything that went wrong, the more they'll realize they were to blame. Let them sit with that guilt. It's a valuable lesson they need to learn. The urge to pursue you now that they've spent enough time in self-reflection, something shifts inside them. They go from questioning themselves to wanting you back. The tables have turned. You were once the one who put in all the effort, who cared, who pursued. But now it's their turn. The urge to pursue you becomes overwhelming. They can't stop thinking about. You can't stop wanting to reach out. Can't stop wondering if it's too late to make things right. They'll start sending those "I've been thinking about" you texts. They'll like your old Instagram posts, maybe even comment on something to see if you respond. They might send a late-night message after a few drinks, hoping to rekindle what was lost. Here's the thing, they're chasing you. Now they've gone from taking you for granted to desperately wanting you back. And this is where you hold all the power. The urge to pursue you is strong, but you don't need to respond. In fact, you shouldn't let them feel the desperation. Let them wonder if you've moved on. The more they pursue, the more they'll realize that they don't have control of the situation anymore, which makes them crazy. When they start to chase you, don't give in. The moment you do, the power shifts back to them. You've worked too hard to regain your worth, and now is not the time to give it away. Let them pursue you, but don't reward their efforts. The best thing you can do here is to be quiet and let them feel the pain of wanting something they can't have. Sixth, the battle between relief and regret. When you first leave, they might feel briefly relieved. It's that first feeling of freedom where they think, finally, I don't have to deal with them anymore, and they might even feel good about it. But here's the thing about that freedom. The excitement they feel at first is only temporary and superficial. They go out and hang out with their friends and swipe right a few times. For a moment, they think everything is going to be okay, but as soon as they're alone in their quiet apartment or scrolling through their phone, they start to feel regret. They realize that freedom without you is actually emptiness, and that the people they thought could replace you are just surface-level distractions. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. It seems like a good idea at the time, but it only makes them more thirsty, desperate, and sorry. Also, people often think that getting over an ex will be as easy as finding someone new, but it's not. They quickly learn that you can't replace someone who gave you emotional stability and a real connection with a quick fix or a meaningless fling. And that's the realization that knocks them flat on their back and lets them experience this freedom. Don't rush back in when they start to feel bad about leaving. Let them sit in the empty space they thought would feel so good. Remind them that the relief they feel at first is only temporary, and your absence will come back to haunt them in ways they didn't expect. Seventh, the desire to play. The desire to play the game. Once regret settles in, they panic. Now they want to control the situation, but they don't know how. So what do? They try to play games. They start acting distant on purpose, trying to make you jealous, posting photos with other people, making it look like they're happy without you. Maybe they post a cryptic status about moving on, or a selfie that's trying a little too hard. It's all just one big attempt to reel you back in, to make you wonder what they're up to. But here's the thing. You're not playing anymore. You've outgrown the games. You've moved beyond that childish behavior, and you don't even notice their petty attempts to provoke a reaction. You see, people think that manipulation through jealousy or playing hard to get will make you chase after them, but what happens when you've stopped chasing, when you've grown tired of the game? They'll throw everything at you. Small jabs, comments that are passive-aggressive, posting exaggerated things on social media. But it doesn't work because you're not giving them the attention they want or responding to their childish behavior, which is what makes them so crazy. When they can't get a response from you, they lose control and are left grasping for something they can't control. Don't respond to or interact with the vague posts. Just ignore them. Do not reply to the pictures. Their game only works if you play. The moment you stop responding is the moment they learn they can no longer control you. The breaking up. That heavy weight of silence that breaks people down. One of the most important things you can do to get rid of the lack of your words is to be quiet. It's hard for them because the silence is so heavy and unbearable. They start to question everything. They remember all the times they ignored your calls and texts because they were too busy, and now they would do anything to hear from you. Silence is painful for someone who's used to being in charge. They expect you to reach out and ask what's wrong and beg for an explanation. But what happens when you don't? When you disappear, they have to sit there in the quiet, wondering if they've lost you for good. Every minute without a word from you feels like a year, and the longer it goes, the more anxious they get. Texts, calls, and notifications give you instant satisfaction. When you don't give them an answer right away, they spiral. They're used to the noise of a relationship, the back and forth, even the fights. But quiet is painful. It's very loud when no one speaks. Let your silence be your power. Don't break it or explain yourself. Let them feel the weight of their actions through the lack of your words. They'll soon learn that not being able to reach you is worse than any argument they could have had. The fear that makes them do what they do. Scrolling back them, crawling back. Now here's where it all comes crashing down. Fear. This is the part they never thought would happen. The part where they're actually scared of losing you for a long time. They were comfortable. They thought you'd always be there. They took your presence for granted, thinking you were the one who'd stick around no matter what. But now you're gone, and they're terrified. The fear hits them harder than anything else. They start to think, what if I lost them for good? What if they've moved on to someone else? The idea of you being with someone new consumes their mind. They'll picture you laughing with someone else, making memories with someone else, and the thought of it makes them sick to their stomach. They're no longer worried about their pride, their ego, or playing it cool. Now all they can think about is getting you back. This fear drives them to do things they swore they'd never do. They'll reach out. They'll apologize. They'll beg. Maybe they send long messages explaining how they didn't appreciate you before, but now they realize how much you meant. Maybe they just show up at your door, hoping for a second shot. They do everything because they're afraid they'll never see you again. But the truth is that by the time they feel that fear, you're gone. You've moved on, found your strength and your independence, and you don't need them anymore. Unfortunately, when they come back, it's too late. Don't give them a second chance because they're afraid. Let them face the consequences of their actions. They need to understand that they can't take you for granted, as you've already moved on. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're already ahead of 99% of people out there and have shown that you are a true Stoic who seeks depth in wisdom and understanding. Here's a bonus for you at number 10. The ability to make things happen. The attainment of emotional freedom. Realizing your personal independence is the culmination of everything. Disappearing means gaining freedom, not just leaving them. your own emotional clarity, your own peace. You see, in many relationships, we get so caught up in making the other person happy, improving our worth, that we forget about our own needs. We forget that we have the power to choose to walk away, to demand better for ourselves. But once you've vanished, once you've reclaimed your space, you start to see things clearly. You no longer need their validation. You no longer care what they think, how they feel, or what they want. You've realized that your happiness isn't tied to them, and that's the most powerful thing you can experience. This is your emotional independence. And here's the best part. They feel it too. They realize that you're not the same person. They once knew you're stronger now, wiser, more confident. They can sense that you've outgrown them, that you no longer need them to feel complete. At this point, the situation has completely changed. While they remain trapped in the same old patterns, you have progressed, liberated yourself from the cycle of validation, and now their opinion holds no significance in your emotional independence. Don't go back to the old ways, and don't let them feel good about thinking they still have power over your happiness. You've moved on, and that's your biggest win. What's the lesson here? Stop letting people take you for granted. Stop being the person who's always there, no matter how badly they treat you. The moment you walk away, you disappear. If you're ready to take back your power and stop being an option, everything will change. They'll feel it, they'll regret it, and they'll understand they've lost something irreplaceable. Leave a comment below saying, "I'm done being an option," because you're about to become the most powerful version of yourself. If this video spoke to you or changed the way you think, please consider becoming a member of the channel. It helps us keep making outstanding videos like this and makes them available to as many people as possible. If membership isn't for you, please hit the subscribe button. Either way, you're helping the channel grow, and I appreciate all of your support. Remember, you're in charge. See you in the next video.